Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soulprism Podcast, where we share bite-sized nuggets of wisdom for your body, mind, and soul to serve you, the emerging soulpreneur. My name is Tammy Mack. I'm really excited to be sharing this today. It is a Gemini season, and this is one of my favorite places to work in, communication. And there's so many different ways that we can communicate within ourselves, in our relationships, our conversations to ourselves, and then also how it is that we show up in our relationships, and then how is it that we serve as a soulpreneur. So Gemini is all about the communication. It is ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication. And so Gemini is the communication of self. It is part of, our journey into ourselves. And there is a dualistic nature of Gemini, the two sides. It could be, the two angels, the angel and the devil on your shoulders. It could be the way that you talk to others versus the way that you talk to yourself. We can also talk about Gemini, which I love to do, which is our intuition. And our intuition is the language and the voice of our soul. So I'm actually doing a masterclass on Friday where we're diving in deeper into our intuition. I'm sharing some of the human design gates that we can connect to within our energetic chart, our human design chart. However, I want to lovingly remind you that you have all of the chart. So whether it's red, whether it's black, whether it's in a hanging gate, whether it's in a full channel, or whether it is, completely open, you have the energy of that gate. It's just the way that you get to use it, express it, is going to be different from person to person. So today I really wanted to focus on, Gemini and, using our messaging in our marketing as a soulpreneur. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is to grab your human design chart. And so, or your astrology natal chart. But if you look at your human design chart, and I'm going to show mine right here, you're going to look on the right-hand side in the black, and you're going to count down to 6 places to the Mercury sign. And when you count down to 6 places, you're going to have a number. So for instance, mine is 54.3. So 54.3 would be how I communicate in my messaging, how it is that I communicate, whether it is person to person, whether it's my relationships, or whether it's in my soul-based business. And so I decided to do a few slides for you today because we're really going to be focusing on the profile lines of your human design chart. So as I said, mine was 54.3 on my human design chart. So we're going to be using the 0.3. That is your profile line on your human design chart. And that's where I'm going to be really channeling in the information and the energy of each of the profile lines. I'm also going to be sharing my feminine archetypal language so that you can kind of feel, you can embrace, you can embody the archetype of that profile line in your messaging. And perhaps that will inspire you to use your imagination the next time you're sitting down and you're creating some content. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so Mercury messaging. So when you look at your human design chart, you're going to see this sign right there. That is the Mercury sign. And so how do you embody and share your message in your soul-based business? So we're going to talk about the first line. And so in my feminine archetypal language, I call the first line the creatrix. So the creatrix is, she creates from within. It really comes from within. And there's this interesting dance that the creatrix does, where she really likes to build a strong foundation of information, a strong foundation of know, like, and trust. So when she is sharing in her soul-based business, or when she's sharing in her relationships, she wants to be sure, she wants to trust that the information that she is sharing is true, and she has gone through her own contemplation. So the line one, they love to research. They're dive-in divas. They really like to really go into those rabbit holes of information. Perhaps they love to journal. They like to chew on things a little bit. They like to contemplate and really, like I said, collect data and research to create content, and to share and investigate. And generally, I call my line ones those that have a wealth of information, because in order for them to feel safe, to trust what it is that they want to share, they really have to have a good, solid foundation of that information. So when we're sharing it in our soul-based business, we may be sharing it as blogging. We may be sharing it through our first, first person. We may use a lot of language of creating. We may use a lot of language of flowing through me, for instance, or we may be using languaging such as research, investigate, contemplate, foundation, and give a good level of trust. So if you have a first line in your messaging, in your marketing, then I ask you, does this feel true to you? Are you a dive-in diva? Do you really like to make sure that you have enough information that you can share with others, and you feel this safety in it, this security, this trust that what you're sharing has been tried and true? So the next line we're going to move into is the line two. And in my feminine archetypal language, I call her the creative muse, the creative muse, because she dances, she flows, she plays. It's what comes natural to her. And there really is this intimacy with the line two. The line one and the line two really work well together. And there's this sense of intimacy with the line two, the sense of being trusted, being a good source of a confidence, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that's going to see you. And if you're a line two, you may feel drawn to respond when somebody's asking you a question. So in your marketing, there's this, you may really enjoy visual art, right? Something that is going to inspire someone else, using nature, using something that you really enjoy, that really brings you out. You may also really enjoy podcasting, say in interview style, or having guests on your podcast, so that you guys can have this beautiful narrative, this dialect, this give and take, this biofeedback that you can feed off each other, you can play off each other. Now, I used to call this the lovers, because there is a sense of romance. There is a sense of provocation. There is a sense of, as a creative muse, really wanting to feel good, to really share that good feeling with another, and to really embrace intimacy, to embrace connection. And so when you are creating content or writing as a line two, you may want to use words such as passion, such as natural. And the interesting thing about the line two is they don't see themselves. We truly, I'm a 6'2" splenic projector, and I can tell you, I don't see myself at all. I really rely on that biofeedback, that connection from others who see me in a way that I don't see myself. And so you can also use, language around, hidden truths or, secrets in a really fun and sexy and playful way, if that feels good to you. So when you're sharing, I would 100% really be talking to your ideal client in a way that is attractive, that you're calling them in an intimacy kind of way. Now we're going to move into the line 3. And I have to admit, I don't really use a lot of comedy in my messaging. However, I have noticed that when I do use comedy in my messaging, I get a lot more traction. I get a lot more interest. And so I'm going to play with this a little bit. Now, the reason why there's a dissonance personally for me is because I do have a lot of Scorpio. I do have a lot of line 2 within me, and I really like to dive in deep. Where the line 3 may use a lot of comedy. Now, in my feminine archetypal language, I call her the wild woman, because the wild woman really learns her craft, really learns through trial and error, through experimenting, through forging paths her own way. I often joke saying that the line 3 tends to throw a lot of spaghetti on the wall and they find what sticks, right? What sticks, and whatever sticks is what they move through. But there really is this sense of forging a new path, breaking free from restrictions. And the line 3 can be a little surface level until they move into this maturity, this wisdom, where they're ready to dive in deep. So we tend to see line 3s a lot laughing at themselves or using themselves as a place of humor. So they use humor as a way to communicate, acting, singing, dancing, anything like that doesn't go too deep, right? Because sometimes the line 3 has this sense of shame, this sense of guilt, this sense of it's starting to become a little bit more social, and this sense of, what if people judge me on my past? But you, my friend, you, my wild woman, you are not your past. You are not your past. You are who you are now and where you're going. And so really, when you're using this, use it in a light, in a fun tone, but also prepare your client, your reader, that you may be going in deeper and sharing from your wisdom, sharing from what worked, what didn't work, and how you can serve from your own experience. So the line 3 is really experimenting and sharing from their own experiences. So let me know if you're a line 3. Now, I do share from my experiences quite a bit, but I am going to play with humor a little bit more. Once again, there's this like, I don't really like humor. I like humor, but at the same time, I just feel it as a shield, right? I feel it as a shield. I can see the deeper aspect of when somebody's trying to laugh something off. So when you're using humor, I really want you to be mindful of that. Who are you poking fun at? What is the situation, and how can you poke fun in a loving way that is going to help somebody feel seen and heard, and yet not judged? Okay, so now we're going to move on to the line 4. And the line 1 to the line 3, they're kind of personal, or they're very personal, where the line 4, 5, and 6 are transpersonal, they're relationship. And so the line 4 carries some frequency, some energy of the line 1. Where the line 4 is building a foundation, once again, is building the solid, foundation of trust and of knowing, so that they can share it with one to many. They're sharing one to many. And so I call the line 4 the heartist, because the heartist shares from her heart, where the creatrix kind of shares from the roots, shares from creating something from the root. The heartist, I feel, shares from the heart womb, as I call it. And with the hardest, it really is creating this network. We see the line 4 a lot with networking, with building a network, of being a personal internet, a personal web. And so when I think about the artist generally works with galleries, right? With sharing her piece or her or his piece of work in a gallery with others. And so the line 4 is collaborating with others, is creating systems so that they can be seen by many and yet still have this intimacy, this sense of trust. Because the line 4 sometimes can have this experience of being rejected in the past. And so it may take time and wisdom and healing to open your heart to share from your sacred scar. So heart-based may work as a journalist, an investigative journalist, a writer, or a blogger, sharing once again an intimate message and wanting to help others in service. And so being the go-to person who has that wisdom, who knows the hookups, right? The hookups of the heartist. So if you're a line 4, I'm curious if that resonates with you. When we move into the line 5, I call the line 5 the queen, because the queen has this projection field. You know, when we think of Oprah, or we think of Beyonce, we don't really know who they are. We have a projection of who it is that we think they are. And so sometimes the line 5 can hide behind that projection field until she is ready, until she is fully empowered within herself, that she can share through her authentic self. The line 5, the queen, also shares through practicality. So what can I practice? What can I share with you that is you're going to be able to put boots to the ground? So the line 2 and the line 5 have, there's quite similarities, where the line 2 is 1-to-1, the line 5 is 1-to-many. And so she is the queen of her tribe. She's the queen of her group. She's the queen of her corporation, her business. And the ways that I always feel like the line 5, does really well with is social media, where she has a presence, where she's an influence, where she is sharing. So TV, radio, social media, YouTube, podcasting, has a message to share and enjoys being in the spotlight, projected energy and influence. So once again, there's this sense of, with the line 5, they don't see me. Nobody sees me. They see me as they think I am. And so, my dear queens, it is up to you to fully show up authentically, to show up who it is that you truly are in a sense of empowerment, so that you're serving from your heart and not from the projection. You're not hiding from that projection field. So if you are a line 5, please let me know if that resonates with you. And the last line we're going to talk about is the line 6. And the line 6, I call in my feminine archetypal language, is the goddess, because the goddess sees from an eagle's eye vantage point. The line 6 sees and knows and feels the potential, the future, where mankind, where humankind, where the collective consciousness is moving towards. We see the bigger picture. Sometimes we don't really like to dive in and get our hands dirty. Now, the line 5 depending on your age, has like a tri-phase where the line from 0 to 30, you're kind of like a line 3. You're living through experience. You're creating your life, really, where you're going to spend the second half of your life kind of healing from. So this is like the child having, childlike wonder, playing, embodying, having fun. So if you're 0 to 30, well, you're not going to be 0, but from 0 to 30, if you're sharing, you may feel like you're sharing more from that third line. And then, so as a child, right? As a child with wonder, like really using like language like I wonder, or, growing up into that kind of stuff. And then if you're from the age of 3 to 50, you're on the roof, you're in this healing bubble. You're really learning, you're taking that deeper dive in, as I said, with the line 3, where it's kind of surface level and fun and playful, where we come into the deeper aspect of the healing of it, where we're learning the blessings from the lessons, and we're taking that deeper dive into ourselves. And so you may be using more languaging about taking that deep dive in. Once again, that's kind of my flavor. You're going to have your own, but it's kind of like the mothering energy and the kind of protective bubble and the hermiting a little bit. And then when we move from 50 and on, we're really walking our walk. We're talking our talk. We are sharing from a place of embodied wisdom. And so when I think about the line 6 in messaging and marketing, she may show up as the inspirational teacher, the goddess, the embodiment, I love seeing a grown, mature woman who's in her crone age, who fully accepts herself, who is not afraid to show up as herself. She has gone through it all. She has seen it all. No fucks are given anymore, and she's fully herself. So loves to use education to expand awareness, maybe showing up as a spiritual leader, a teacher, an influencer. And even if it's not spiritual, it really is sharing from a place of grown embodied wisdom of, this is what I tried, this is what I've learned, this is what helped me, this is how I see how it can help others. And so the line 5 and the line 6 really work together, because the 6 has the vision, the visionary leader, and then the line 5 has the voice, the sharing, right, the projection. And so those really work really nice together. So if you are if profile lines juice you up, if it makes you just want to dive in deeper into yourself and learn more about yourself, I do have a Gene Keys course that goes through the different sequences, the life purpose sequence, where we're diving into why it is that we incarnated. What is my soul purpose? What is my life's work? What keeps me healthy? What keeps me grounded? How can I fully embody this into myself? And then it moves on to the Venus sequence, which I kind of renamed the conditioning field, the heart of receiving, because this talks about our relationships and the give and take in our relationships. We go into Venus and Mars and the moon and our attraction and our core wounding. And so I share it in the levels of layers in our auric field. So a little bit different than Richard, but it's the same sequence, just in a different way. And then the third sequence is our prosperity. It is how our bodies, how our soul has been designed, how we designed ourselves to fully show up and to fully be prosperous, to be abundant. And I'm going to tell you, it's not about the money. So it's how does my body feel? What vocation? What is my branding? What does prosperity truly mean to me? who am I designed to work with, and work, who are my ideal clients using my astrology and human design. So if you're interested in that course, it is still, I can't remember how much it is right now, but I will be sharing the link in the show notes if that is something that is of interest of you. I have quite a few different ways that you can work with me, whether it is in a program, a course. I have courses from human design to gene keys to astrology to the science of settling, and really creating a 21-day ritual, a commitment to yourself to create in abundance. So if that's something that's interest to you and you like to learn in your own pace, then I highly recommend those courses. And if you comment in the comments of my courses, I generally do a little bit of coaching in there as well. And it's really beautiful because you get to read what other people have gone through as they've journeyed as well. And it's a little bit more of an intimacy where if you don't feel like being seen in front of a lot of people, you can still have that experience. Another way that we can work together is through mentoring. I prefer the word mentoring. And so whether you are like, you just want to get her done, right? You just want to fully immerse yourself in the experience, then I highly recommend, a 1-day immersion. If you like to, spread it out into a 3-month coaching program, then I also have the Dive In Diva, where we really work intimately on you becoming an empowered soulpreneur through busting through those limiting beliefs and really claiming your energetic blueprint and really moving through that. And so I really enjoy serving in that capacity as well. So thank you very much for listening in, tuning in. Please let me know what resonated, what hit, what didn't. And I can't wait to see you on the next one.